Welcome to Toffee TV. I am joined by Andy. We're going to discuss, it says the tactics show, and we will discuss some tactics, but this is going to be a weekly show that me and Andy do, but probably more towards stats with a little bit of tactics. So we'll get Joe to alter that slightly. Yeah. Stats and tactics, I reckon that's what we're going
Statics.
with. Well, listen, there you go. There you go. He told us, you know. You got that.
Raisin brand.
You're keeping that.
Yeah,
You're keeping that trademark.
Yeah. It's a good company name.
There you go. Is there anything else to say? Let's get into it. The season, you know, we're on the first international break, which is grim because it feels like it's just kicked off.
Yeah, it's good to catch up on some work, but it's not great.
No, but it's just nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah.
That when you just get into the Premier League, it stops. Yeah. But 4 games played, Everton took 7 points out of 12. Not a terrible start, not an amazing start, but
it's good
decent.
enough, yeah,
decent.
Enough, yeah. The performances haven't been super, but the fact that we've got 7 points, or only dropped 5, I think when we do get to our best and when we are all in sync, that'll show how good we really are. I think it's good that we're picking up points, but even when we're not playing our best, that's positive.
I mean, I suppose from my perspective, the only real, and probably a lot of people's perspective, blot on it was Villa, which when you take the whole game into perspective, Everton were the better side. Everton dominated. Everton missed a lot of chances.
Yeah.
Villa were, I've seen their manager talking about it and said he felt they were lucky on the night. They were quite fortunate. Not lucky, but he felt they were fortunate because he said, you know, Everton would have taken one of their chances. It'd have been a different game. That's football.
Yeah,
it swings on that, doesn't it? You know, that's what happens. I think at the time, you're feeling a bit like, you know, you're so frustrated at the end of the game because you look at it and go, it's an away game against a team we should be beating. And I think that the one thing that is worrying me, not worrying me, but the one thing I would say needs massive improvement is our away form. And we've had Palace away and we've had Villa away. We haven't scored a goal, and against 2 teams that for me will be in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah, they should be. Villa are struggling, aren't they, as well?
You know, I know Palace have started very well. Villa have done all right, but you know, for me, I feel as though that was 2 games that Everton should have at least taken 4 points from.
And they're the difference maker games for me. Like I always say, people go, we need to beat the top 6, but top 6, 12 games a season, you know, the rest of the points are won by against those other teams. That you get the bulk of the points from beating teams that you're supposed to beat, and we need beating them away is part and parcel of becoming a top 6 side. You need to be able to beat those sides away, and that's what we need to get over the hump with, really. Definitely.
So, you know, obviously, I was still here before, after the Palace game, before I had my little holiday.
Sojourn.
Yeah, and we done the final word, and we spoke about that day, you know, Everton being the better side and just not being clinical enough on the day, and Jordan Pickford made a couple of good saves as well that afternoon. You know, it was a decent point, but it was only a decent point if you build on it. What have you noticed in the opening 4 games in terms of, because when we went to Palace, we started with last year's kit on.
Yeah.
We started with last year's team.
Yeah, we did.
Didn't we? Obviously, we lost Andre Gomez through injury that day, had to go off, and I think that's where our rhythm in our play that day kind of suffered a little bit. We've seen Jean-Philippe Gbamin come on, and he was okay, but there was a couple of times he got caught in possession. Then we ended up losing him, you know, and he's out for a while. But since then, what have you noticed? Because there's been obviously the introduction into the team of the likes of Moise Keane. He came on that day at Palace and came on against Watford, and obviously Alex Iwobi's in there now, and you know, we've even seen Jibril Sidibe in the League Cup game, and I thought he'd done okay in that.
As well, yeah.
So what have you made of the first 4?
I like to look at the season. Really, is you look at the Palace game. That was the Palace game. But then the Watford game was just it was just a bad game for both teams. Really, they had that Pickford made the save with his face from Zadini. You know, great save by the way. You know. Both teams struggled really in that game, and then you got to the Villa game. I think that the Villa game could be looked as a turning point for me. You watch the first 60 minutes, you know, we got it wide a lot, we crossed it a lot, you know, and then once Iwobi and Keane come on, and you know, I know Sigurdsson went off that day, but then you looked at the Lincoln game, them 2 started again. Sigurdsson played well in the Lincoln game because it opened up the space, and it helped Dean, it helped Coleman as well, and then the Wolves game, that sort of plan from that, what happened in the last 30 minutes of the Villa game, it's sort of come out of there. We've seemed to have found a bit of a different way of playing, but we'll obviously
we've got some graphics for that.
But I think and I think the issue what it's been is, and I don't think it's particularly the players. I think the fact that the way Dominic Calvert-Lewin was used last season was when they like to come deep, pick up the ball, pass it off, and then we build from there. We went direct in games against your top 6 teams. And I think when we played that way against Palace, and we played that well against Watford and Villa at times as well, I think it's closed a lot of the space that Gylfi Sigurdsson needs to work. And he is a clever player and he can make his own space, but he needs players to run off and to be able to, for himself to pick them out and also create that space where he can operate. And he needs also players to feed him the ball. And I think in those first 2.5 games, I'd say in the league, he didn't get really any joy. I know he creates chances from corners, and he had an odd flash in the game where he creates something, but I think with having someone who runs beyond him and he's looking to run into the channels like a Moise Keane, and someone like Iwobi who sort of drifts in and out of the middle, he picks up, he takes markers with him as well. People have to pass him on. I think it's opened up space for Gylfi. I think we played better as a result. And I think with Dominic Calvert, I don't think it's his fault. I just think that's what Everton are used to playing with him. Like, I think he's coming too far short. Like we've seen, when you look at the average positions, Gylfi's always ahead of him, and it doesn't really fit. He should be higher up. He should be pinning the centre backs as far higher up to create that space and it's not just a Gylfi Sigurdsson thing. It's Andre Gomez. When it was him and Schneiderlin, it was very safe. There was nowhere. They were just passing. They both sitting deep, and then Schneiderlin ended up ahead of Gomez. And
what do you make of Andre Gomez? I mean,
it's been an inconsistent start.
It's early, isn't it? It's early, and I don't think he started the season particularly well. I think, day one,
he was fine.
He was fine. The opening.
He was controlling the game because the type of game it was.
He had the ball and he was bopping it off, and you're looking for him to almost be the metronome for the team in that role, get it and keep it ticking over. And then obviously he got the ankle injury, and then he played against Watford and
didn't look fit at all.
Didn't look fit in the Villa.
I think he don't look fit either. He couldn't move.
He was shocking against Aston Villa. It was his worst performance in an Everton shirt. He was terrible. But and then obviously he was sub at Lincoln. But against Wolves, I thought him and Fabian Delph, I thought looked a lot better.
I think we spoke about in the summer, and I certainly mentioned a lot last season. I think you probably noticed it yourself. Was when Gay and Gomez played together in certain games, teams go, we'll let Garner have the ball. We'll put 2 men on Gomez. And I think with Schneiderlin, it's the same thing. Teams are not worried about Schneiderlin hitting them with the ball. I know he played 1 or 2 good passes early in the season, Schneiderlin, but you're not looking for him to break open a defence or carry the ball into the final third. And I think teams sort of can zero in on Andre Gomez. And when we've added Delph to the mix now, Delph's good on the ball. Such a smart player, knows knows when to come in, when to drop off. He knows all those things, and I think it frees up Andre Gomez to sort of have less responsibility. And I think it allows him and players don't pick him up as much. It gives him a bit more freedom to roam. And I think both of them. I think it worked against Wolves. I was a bit worried about the defensive side of things because obviously neither one of them is particularly a sitter, are they? But it seemed to work. But yeah, I think with Gomez, as long as he's got someone next to him who can carry the ball, and actually do their part, I think it frees him up to do what he wants to do.
I mean, what do you make of where Fabian Delph, if it is to be him and Andre Gomez for a while, which it looks like, fingers crossed, he'll stay fit enough. It'll be them for the foreseeable future.
I worry in certain games about us defensively because I think both of them would like to step into the final third.
Yeah.
Neither one of them is particularly. I think Delph's a bit better, but neither one. And Gomez looks improved this season defensively. He's winning more of the ball, but he's the position. So when Dean goes on, you've seen at times in that game, you need Delph or Gomez to drop in when the fullback goes out high and they're sitting. Yeah. And at times it didn't work, and that's where Wolves at times found joys when they trying to basically isolate Michael Keane or Yerry Mina in the channel and trying to defend one-on-one. But we coped well enough with it. But against your Cities, your Liverpools, it makes it much more difficult. But we'll play it differently against them as well. But so yeah, I think it'd be fine. I just worry slightly about defence, but. When Gbamin comes back, would we see them as a 3? Yes, I'd hope so in certain games. I think that would offer us a lot. You've got different types of players. Andre Gomez could then play higher and link the attack then. And then you've got Delph doing, working, being a metronome in a sense. And then Gbamin would sit and then attack the space if need be. And so we've got options now. That is the key, I think, with Everton now. We've got options and we're building this side, which is not, 1 week from the next, you're not going to be able to say that's who's playing, that's the 11. And that's what we want. But yeah, I'm interested to see. I want them to build a partnership because we need them, really. I don't want to see Schneiderlin back on the team unless it's maybe against the Man City where he needs to sit in, and that's all he's doing is sitting in. He's not been bad, Schneiderlin, to be fair, but I think that's the key, really, is that they both learn that the defensive responsibility needs to be picked up with them. But I think it is still work on that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Morgan Schneiderlin, if you limit his role in terms of go in, just do that job for me, I think he's fine.
Screen that back four,
get it,
lay
knock
it
off.
off. Yeah.
And then
That's what he's best at doing.
It's when you're expecting him to operate a little bit fit. Like against Crystal Palace on day one, you needed him to be higher up the pitch because they just wanted to sit.
Yeah, but that's what they want. They want to draw those players out, and with him, he's not going to be able to fill.
His first thought is to turn back.
Yeah, exactly.
Safety, isn't it?
He just wants to lose the ball. He's just used to give it to better players to do things with. And what you're seeing against Wolves is that when Delph and Gomez stepped into the final third, and you'd be waiting. I didn't take them because obviously the Premier League's funny about copyright, but there's I was looking at it this morning, like sort of stills of where the position and where, and when you'd have three in the box at all times, and you'd have Delph at the edge of the box or Gomez stepping into the final third. And against Villa, we didn't have that. There was just a big gap behind Gylfi Sigurdsson. There was nothing there, and I think that's what's helped is Delph sort of saying, Gomez, I'll go, you stay, and then Gomez, I'll go, Delph will stay. And I think that they worked it out a bit better amongst themselves.
I mean, we were looking before we were talking about the first two games, certainly. Crystal Palace away. Everton had 65% possession, 10 shots to Palace's 6, created 9 chances from open play.
That's good, you want that, yeah.
500 passes with an 80% pass completion, 17 crosses into the box, 1 through ball, which, if we've got a striker like Moise Keane, that needs to improve.
It does. We are in the lower half of the Premier League through balls.
But we need to improve that.
I think we will. Gylfi Sigurdsson is someone who's known for playing through balls, and with Keane running beyond him like he does, and Richarlison, he will pick them up more often. So that's something that'll improve with the way the system's changing.
And then Watford, which is out the 4 games, has been an absolute anomaly. The whole game. Even the pair of the teams, just mad. That day we had 45% possession, which is mad.
So we made the Buffalo in the game.
12 attempts from Everton, 8 Watford. Both had 2 on target that day. Everton created 6 opportunities from open play. We had 326 passes that day.
Half the number of passes,
which is mad, with only a 66% pass completion.
Sloppy
Watford only had 71, which tells you that both teams give the ball away. Only 11 crosses and 1 through ball again. And that game, in isolation, is a bit of a, like you say, the other 3, 500 passes there. We ended up with 572 passes at Villa, 480 passes against Wolves. So that 326 at home for us was a bit of a mad one. But we won the game, you said before. It was just like winning the game, another clean sheet.
Yeah. Well, we wait till it clicks. Let's just win the game, yeah. And that could have been Watford have sacked the manager as also not winning the games. And actually, if you look at it, obviously to the eye, Watford aren't playing that well, but they've created quite enough chances to win games. It's just sometimes it's look, I want to sack Garcia, but whatever.
But they're a strange
club.
They're a strange club. They were celebrating the fact that they had Garcia and we had Marco Silva.
Yeah, they had Chelsea were interested in Garcia as well.
Sorry, I'm just looking for the remote, sorry about that. We're going to look at a couple of things then. So after the first 2 games, we very much had the same team as what we had last year. Obviously, Jean-Philippe Gbamin came in against Watford and done okay. He's done better than he did against Palace.
Yes, just getting used to the pace. That's a sad part. He's going to have to readapt himself, but yeah.
But we'd finished that game. We had 4 points after 2 games, 2 clean sheets. Like you say, we haven't played particularly well against Watford, but we got the result. And then we were going into the Aston Villa game. Obviously, Alex Iwobi was fitter. Moise Keane was fitter. We lost Jean-Philippe Gbamin before that game. So Morgan Schneiderlin came back into the side for that night. And then what we'll do is we'll take the Aston Villa game.
Yeah, I call it the pre and post Villa. That's the way to see it.
That's what we're going for.
That's what I sort of look at it as, because it's sort of changed since the Villa game, and we'll see why it's changed and what's changed. It maybe you may not think it has, but it has definitely. The Lincoln game was key, really, in the sense that I think he allowed them to play them players.
Yeah.
And I think after the Villa game, he probably thought, I can change this a bit, because now's the time. If I'm going, it hasn't really worked in the first couple of games. We've won games, but it hasn't really worked. I can get Moise Keane in. I can get Iwobi in the team. We'll see what happens, and we'll see. The change is what's happened. Yeah.
So let's have a look for the Villa game first, anyway. So here we are with the starting 11 that started at Villa that night. So we can see with the starting 11 there, like we just said, Morgan Schneiderlin coming back in to the team instead of Jean-Philippe Gbamin. Villa.
They said 4-1-4-1, and they probably wear that out without the ball, but really it was a 4-3-3 with the two, with McGinn and McGrealish pushing on. And as we'll see in the average positions, they seem to leave their midfielders quite high, and I don't know why particularly, but it seemed to work as well because they obviously scored 2 goals on the break, didn't they?
I mean, just looking at us,
that's the system we played for over a year now. I found it quite rigid, and that was me and Ped's take after that game was. The system feels a bit stale, the way we're playing. Not the actual formation, because there's different things you can do within the formation. Obviously you can have, the 2 wingers. You can have, I'd say, Charleston getting in close to goal, which is where we want him.
Yeah.
Bernard can sort of float in between the lines. Sigurdsson can drop in, make it a 3 at times. Andre Gomez can get higher up. But that actually at times is how it felt, except with Sigurdsson higher. That's how it felt when you were watching them attack, and it didn't really work. But then,
when I look at Everton, sometimes. It's quite clear that we want to transition to a 4-3-3, and we want to be playing with 3 people in the final third, high up the pitch, not to isolate our centre forward. Because for too many years, whether it be Romelu Lukaku or Wayne Rooney when he was up front, or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, now the striker's been isolated for too long, and you never. If you look at the best teams don't have that. The best teams have 3.
No.
4 or 5.
Yeah, you need that. You need 4 or 5 around the box.
You've got to occupy the defence, the team you're playing against,
them,
and you pin them back. Liverpool do it brilliantly, and
even if you're not going to pass that, he needs to do his role and sort of moving them out the way. And it was too static at times.
Yeah. So that was the lineup. Quite clearly, these the average positions.
This is what a lot of people have seen. I think it's done the rounds a lot after this game and before this game. So essentially, you've got the 2 centre backs. You've got Morgan Schneiderlin's hidden behind Jack Grealish there.
Yeah.
But then the midfield is quite deep. And then you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin's higher in this game and Gylfi's a bit lower, but they're too deep. Dominic Calvert-Lewin tends to drop deep to try and pick up the ball. And it sort of lets the defence sit high as well. They usually get, ours defence is very high because obviously we play a high line, and theirs was a bit lower. But in that game, it would have been better if Dom was between, you tried to get higher, because then they're allowing you that space, but we didn't do that. They still sat off too deep, and it compresses the midfield, so it allows the midfield to drop in deeper as well. And obviously we need to create space for ourselves. And because of this, we always have to go out wide to try and gain space.
Yeah,
and that's why. As you see, I shall see with the.
I mean, when you look at that and how you see them lined up, it's mad almost that we left 3 Everton players marking 4 Villa players in those areas. I know it doesn't necessarily pan out like that because it's where they spend time on the pitch. I've actually seen another graphic where Gylfi was ahead of.
I think that.
But obviously, it's whatever metric you use. But you're looking at it just to see where players are. And I like the fact that both fullbacks are quite high up the pitch.
Yes.
Because that's quite clearly part of our game.
Of positional play. Yeah.
But you're right. I would like Dominic Calvert-Lewin to position himself higher up so that he's almost touching the D, so he has to force their centre backs back. Now teams will try to push you out, of course they will, but as a centre forward you want to be looking to try and get on the shoulder. This is a kid who's not slow.
No, he isn't. You've seen certain games last season, put him in the channel, he can outrun anyone.
So he should be saying to Marco maybe, or to his teammates, I'm playing on this lad's shoulder here. Tyrone Mings that night had pulled up in the warm-up.
And they never. He pulled up in the first 5 minutes as well, and it wasn't stretched.
And it's
the problem with that as well is you've got Tyrone Mings who's 6'5", Bjorn Engels is 6'4". What do they want you to do? They want you to cross it, and we sort of fell into that pattern of play. Yeah. The key with the Dominic Calvert-Lewin thing is, if you've ever watched any Pep team, any Barcelona team, the striker is used to pin, is to stretch the pitch. You're creating the spaces between the lines. If the striker's coming short, you're helping the defence come short, so it's compressing the space. And that's the problem what Everton are finding in the first games. Same with Gylfi Sigurdsson. Number 10 is supposed to find space. For some reason, I don't know if it was the manager or him, I still haven't quite worked out yet, they were asking him to play far too high. And it basically meant the defensive midfielder could just sit. It became a back 3 almost. The defensive midfielder was sitting with the back to him.
You know what though, that can work if he goes alongside Dom. What he should do, if Dom's trying to pin them back, then Gylfi, I know he's not the type of player to do it, but he should be almost bobbing around.
He needs to drop in sometimes, but then because the midfield is not dragging the rest of the midfield, there's just a big gap. There's nothing there.
So he's trying to fill the gaps because otherwise they play down. It is difficult, but I think when you're looking at it, probably the best players who play in that number 10 position in terms of
just floating,
they're floating around, they're picking up bits edge of the box, they're running on beyond. Gylfi doesn't really do that. He's great at other times. You can see passes, he picks space up. We've seen him at Lincoln, you mentioned, you know, the cross for the third goal was brilliant, you know, great run, great strength, got round the lad, great ball to the back post, Jens Tosin heads the cross and Iwobi scores, and he's got that in his locker, you know, he's cool under pressure for the penalty. He offers something, but I think certain games we need more in that role, and that's why we may see Alex Iwobi play there.
Maybe,
Bernard, maybe, it just depends. But this was certainly a frustrating one.
Another problem with it, I think, as well, is that this graphic doesn't really show it as well, but because it's average position, because obviously it also includes defensive work when they narrow, so obviously the block. But I find as well that sometimes Bernard and Dean and Keane, so Coleman and Richarlison are too close together. And they end up in this space here too close together, and it's very easy just to force us to cross it. Whereas if Richarlison dragged the mark away, you'd end up Seamus Coleman, who's a very good dribbler one-on-one. That's what you need to get, is create space in one-on-ones, or try and collapse the low block, which we don't do a lot of the time. And I think against Wolves, we certainly did it better, and then playing the back three does certainly help. But we can't be so just wide and then players in the middle. It needs to be sort of positions so that we do try and create space between the markers. And I think we have done it better, especially Lincoln. I know obviously the talent level isn't there, but we certainly play better against Lincoln. And then as you'll see now, in terms of the final third. So this is
no, I'm gone. That one.
So this one. So this is pre the 60th minute when Iwobi and Keane came on. It was only 20% of our attacks went down the centre of the pitch, 44, nearly 50% down the right. Now, this is quite a common theme at the moment, and it's sort of confusing because I don't remember Seamus particularly crossing a lot, or Richarlison. No. You'd expect it more to go down Luca Dean's side, Bernard's side, who were a very good tandem together. But generally, we've been going down the right-hand side, and there's a lack of quality in terms of delivery from the right-hand side, and that's why when Gylfi went out there against Wolves, of course, it was much better, because Coleman's struggling with his cross at the moment, but in Richarlison, it's still a part of his game that he needs to work on. He
doesn't really cross the ball.
He's better in the box, so you can see there that it's basically going down the wings, essentially. And if you look at the next one, when Iwobi and Keane came on, it offered us something more centrally. It sort of balances the team out a bit better. And then as this sort of links into the Fulham game, the Wolves game, sorry, it's pretty similar again. Yeah. So by having those two who want to pick the ball up in central areas, who want the ball to feet, want to turn and run at players, it offers us something in the middle, and especially Fabian Delph as well, who got nearer the strikers, who got nearer Gylfi Sigurdsson. It dragged us up the pitch, and sort of there was more balance to our attack. It wasn't as rigid. So what I will say is that we did focus on crossing against Wolves, which I'll explain why we did when we get to it.
But no, we did. You're right, we balanced it up. And I think if you can balance it up, obviously you're going to have more success, because a team will work you out quickly. If you're big, if all you do is cross the ball, then you teams like Villa are quite happy. You'll just head it away all day. So you have to have a different option. And when we had this different option, we had a lot of chances. I mean, Walcott's always missed that, I'll never know. Iwobi struck a post, Gomez has put one wide.
I put a picture up on Twitter of Gomez, and it did end up in a chance because he floated the ball back to the back post, and Michael Keane headed it behind everyone, and it was lucky Iwobi was smart to the chance, he got hold of it at the post. But there was a pass on for Iwobi that it was just the ability, player of Andre Gomez's ability could have picked the ball quite easily, and instead he just floated that one. That was the type of decision in that game that was hurting us really. You get it, and Gomez just shifted out wide straight away. And there was someone else showing a graphic where there was a pass to Keane who was just standing in 5-10 yards of space. He shifted 3 yards to his right to no one, and it was that was the
decision making.
Yeah, and Villa wanted us to do that in that game. We fell into that trap, but then as in the Wolves game, we played it much smarter really.
So we'll move on to Wolves. So the starting lineup for a Wolves game is this.
So this is coming off the back of the Lincoln game. Yeah. Obviously, Delph played against Lincoln, Gomez did with Schneiderlin, but Delph, Iwobi, and this sort of access around the left-hand side here, all came into the team. And Richarlison as well, because Richarlison the first couple of games, the first game I thought he did right. Palace actually he had a couple of chances.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, one cleared off the line from the corner, the other one where he bent it with his left foot.
Yeah.
But then the Watford game, he completed 2 out of 15 passes. And then the
Aston Villa, off, didn't he?
Yeah, the Aston Villa game wasn't really as effective. And he was going through the motions. Me and Ped thought he was still tired from the summer because obviously he was getting over the mumps still. He didn't have full training. And then this game, and the Lincoln game, he sort of found his verve, if you want back.
Yeah. As well.
He's a goal scorer.
Scoring goals, and it's, I'm at it again. You know,
exactly.
That's what happens.
This is what I mean. For post-Villa, from that moment on, you've seen the more of a balance in the attack and play when those players came on. You now have this, the Lincoln game allowed them to say, right, we're going to throw these lads in. We'll see how they do. And I think off the back of this game, this is the confidence in both Iwobi and Keane to play. You know, I thought Keane would come in much later. I didn't think it'd be now. I thought
really?
I thought we until he played the Silver way, which is not, I suppose, is similar to them, which it'd be horrifying if he tried to make them play like Dom is, but. You know, because he's not that type of player. He doesn't want the ball into his chest and to his head. He wants the feet so he can run at players and cause problems. You know, I think people go, he can't hold it up. I don't want him to hold it up. I want him to turn and run with it at all times. Forget holding the ball up. Fair enough sometimes. To get
I mean, you do have to do that.
Yeah, but I don't want us to funnel direct balls into him. I want him to play through him and he runs. But
you want stuff across from them so he can attack it. That's what we want. But this is how we started it. We obviously, like you said, Delph coming in as well.
The back four solid.
The back four has done fine.
And then you can see, you can see this now. So what the key with this game is Wolves obviously play 3 at the back. You can see Bolly's quite high here, the other 2 here. And what we exposed with Wolves, and I think Marco Silva's obviously worked on this, is the fact that damn, it's very high here. We didn't attack that side a lot. You'll see more again the right hand side. What we exposed is the fact that Ruben Van Agny likes to go high. And their midfielders, for whatever reason, I think it was Neves and it was Donker in this game, yeah. Basically, we overloaded the right-hand side. What Gylfi Sigurdsson did really well in this game, and Keane pinned the centre, the 2 left side of the centre-backs. Then you had Coleman and Richarlison coming out. You created an overload of 3 players, 3 on 2 at all times. And basically, as you've seen a couple of times, Gylfi dropped into that space. A bit like when Gary Neville used to run past Beckham, create that yard of space. Gylfi Sigurdsson was a brilliant crossing, and it created a couple of chances for us. And obviously then Conor Cody playing Gylfi on side for the second goal help. But that's how we had joy all game. We sort of got inside their wing backs, which is what you need to do against the 3-5-2. And that's what worked. And I hope we can do it against the full-back 4. We've got to see it yet, but that's the key area, is that we overloaded that side, really.
A big thing for me as well is the position of Moise Keane. He's the
furthest
forward of our team, and that's
quite a distance, yeah.
You know, that's with Dom. You know, for all of the good work he does, he's got to make sure that when you're the centre forward, you want to be doing your work here. Up here is no good. Taking it on your chest and laying it off, great, but you could arguably you could have a midfield player doing that.
Exactly.
Really, we want him to hurt people. This lad was unlucky on a couple of occasions. Once he gets a goal, I think he'll soar, to be honest.
The thing I enjoyed most about him, and I think this is Dom's still, he's not a natural striker, we've said this before, he's still there in the position in a lot of ways. There's 2, I think the first one, I can't remember who crossed, it was Gylfi, I think twice. Balls fizzed into the front post. One of them, the player knocked it out. The one that got something on it, good, decent save. But the instinct to cross across them on that run, that offers us an option.
You get across the front post, it's like what good strikers do.
Like Richarlison for the 3rd goal, that lovely movement, which right in front of Edson.
Get across the defender, exactly. They're watching the ball this way.
But the positional play overall was much better in this game. As I said, the midfield 2 and Gomez and Delph got higher. They provided that option, that outball. There was a couple of times where Iwobi got to and this is one of my favourite things about Iwobi. He seems to be able to switch play, but not in an obvious way. He gets it to here. There's nothing on down the left. He'll angle a ball into the centre with Delph's on his own, which will go out to the right then. And it creates that overload again, which
does surprise me how deep Iwobi was.
I think that was after probably the 15th to the 20th minute when unfortunately Dean was having a nightmare against Traore. He obviously fixed that in the second half.
Oh yes,
his protein shake ran out.
Yeah.
But Iwobi helps though for Gylfi Sigurdsson as well, because Iwobi is not a left, like an outside left wing.
No.
He's coming across, he's coming into that number 10 position, that allows Gylfi to drift out and create that overload on the right, because Alex Iwobi's covering in. And look, we saw that for the goal. He was at the back post for that header. Would Bernard have gone that position? Probably not.
No. He might have got it. He wouldn't have been able to
header. That was the difference. The front 3, really, it's like a 4-3-3 in a way. It's not really, but you've got your 3 midfielders here, and then you've got the 3 attacking players here. But that was what we did all game. Coleman did quite well at times as well. There was a chance where he got it in the box. He should have got it out of his feet, but he couldn't. But what we did is we exposed the fact that their fullbacks got high and they didn't cover well enough. and that was smart by Silva, and I think that was the difference in the game, plus the fact that we spaced ourselves out, got players higher, keen to stretch the defence. I think for Gylfi Sigurdsson's stake, having someone who runs off and creates that option for him to play the pass. And there's a couple of passes that Gylfi didn't make, that didn't come off, that were nice. That, you know, he tried to get him behind the defence, he was trying to play Moise Keane, and I think as they develop a relationship, that'll be quite fruitful for us as well.
And I think Keane direct running behind will terrify teams as well, because defenders don't like players who run at them. They want you to sit in front of them. And that gives Everton a different option. And again, it's, you know, more as a, what's the right word for Marco Silva, applauded might not be quite the right word, but the fact that he is able to see these things now, he's looked at how this game may go. What I thought Everton did very well against Lincoln and what they did very well against Wolves was they didn't panic at 2-2 in both games. We give such a cheap goal away against these, but for me, said to you before, they shocked me, Wolves, that how direct they were. They were like Stoke, playing for long throw. The biggest weapon to me seemed to be trying to win a throw-in, and then we'll score off a throw-in. And you know,
what they did well, and I think this is what my entire worry about the partnership. They played reasonably well, by the way, Keane and Mina, is that they did, for some reason, Keane did drop off far too much sometimes. So Controlling was picking the ball up in a lot of space. But what they tried to do was angle the balls in these areas to try and get these too wide and use the pace against them. It didn't work great for them. They did have a couple of chances, but I think overall we coped. The only issue I found with the Wolves game, and it wasn't like an issue, it's just a worry, is that we don't kill teams off. No. At 2-1, we should have been looking to kill them off, but we just completely stepped our foot off the gas. They then got back into the game, they scored that goal, and then we were like, we're going to win this game now. And that's Everton.
But then we could have took it away from them.
Yeah,
Keepers made 2 worldies.
What we need to do is just kill teams. The best teams kill teams off, and I think we will get to that stage. And I think, but it's very exciting what Iwobi, Delph, and Keane have brought to the team.
And also, Bernard came on. You know, I didn't think he deserved to be left out, but that's football, and he came on and laid on the assist to the assister. You know, an intelligent ball round the corner, fabulous cross by Luca Dean and Charlison, brilliant header.
He took the ball out, didn't he?
And we were, you know, we could have had more. The keepers made 2 worldies.
Well, yeah, the thing I'd like to highlight about Gylfi is the corners this year have been fantastic. Like even the free kick as well in the first half, second half, whichever one it was.
The Charlison header, they're over.
It's going to be a weapon, especially Mina. I was saying to the other week on the podcast, how have we gone this long? We've got Mina, scored 3 goals at the World Cup, one of the best headers the ball from, and Gylfi Sigurdsson. They haven't created anything together. Sigurdsson hasn't scored a free kick yet forever. It's quite mad, isn't it? Really, it's sort of typically that.
I don't think he'll be anywhere near them anymore.
No, look at him, he's so good, isn't he? He's fantastic, but it's all positives at the moment. I think there's a lot of positives to take out of the game. I'd like us to start to work more. If we play more like that, we'll cause teams more problems. Especially the games I'm looking at, Sheffield United, they play 3 at the back. If we play like this, we'll score goals against them. Bournemouth, we'll see how that goes. That could be 6-6, won't it, probably?
I mean,
but the game I'm worried about is Burnley, really, more than anything, because they're the type of team.
It's the second time you've mentioned you're worried about Burnley.
It's not that I'm worried about them beating us. It's that breaking that low block down is the biggest concern that Everton have got, because the Palace game showed that we struggled against it. And the Fulham game last season, certain other games last season, we struggled to break it down. Newcastle we didn't, but then we drew the game. But we just the way we play, if it works, if we can figure out a way to play like we did against Wolves, against the back 4, I think we'll create enough chance to win games. And that going forward, we'll just see the reflection in the scorelines. We just need to see that. This is obviously the final thirds. Look, so we with pre-60th minute Aston Villa, this was 20%, now 27% again, 40%. So varied again, that right-hand side, as I said, we were overloading that right-hand side because we saw the weakness in Vinagre and the fact that Bolly was probably getting far too high as well.
Yeah.
And we exposed it, which is smart, but obviously varying the attack and playing where you're attacking from is much better. So I think adding Iwobi and the keen element to it has improved us.
Yeah, so, I mean, as we're at that first break, Bournemouth away next, obviously it'll be interesting to see whether he makes any changes for that, whether he'll go with the same 11 or...
Being away from home, there's some managers go have like different systems away from home. You know, you make that. I'm not saying suggest Schneiderlin for Bournemouth, because I certainly expect us to be on the front foot. But maybe someone to close the back door in the Schneiderlin type. If we had Gabama, would be an idea in the away games. Maybe at home you then play Delph and Gomez.
Who would, if it was to be Schneiderlin coming in, who'd be missing out then, in your opinion?
It's very difficult.
It's a tricky one now, isn't it? Because you say, well, Delph. And then it's like, well, no, because he's the leader. And as long as he's fit, he'll play for now. I think Andre Gomez. I don't think you can take him out the team.
When we play City, I expect it to be Delph and Schneiderlin because they're the best. That's their best defensive pair.
You don't think Gomez will play?
Not against City, no. I think he doesn't track runs well enough for me.
No,
that's an issue. But don't be wrong, he's out, but then he's passing forward to create the counter-attacks or something. But then Delph's got that as well, I suppose. It's a balance because you need to be able to shut the door against City. Not that I want to beat City or anything like that. We all, the quest to beat Liverpool is more important in sense. No, but if we want to beat City, you've got to have someone sitting.
Yeah,
and if it's Delph, maybe I play go Delph and Gomez, and you just say to Delph, just screen the back four. Don't let Andre play high. You sit all game. I know that's not his natural role, but
no. But I think you're right. I think we could see that. It's horses for courses. In some
exactly,
games. Gylfi could be taken out for some
play
games.
4-3-3, or have him deeper, like he does for Iceland. You could do that.
I think what you've got now, and he's proved this, and I think it's good about the manager is he's not afraid. I don't think to make decisions. I don't think he's afraid to take people out the team and go. Bernard.
He least deserved that.
Exactly.
3 attacking players.
And he's straight out the team.
Yeah, Richarlison had a good game apart from Lincoln. Gylfi hadn't had a good game up to Lincoln.
Well, he took Richarlison off after something like 56 minutes against Watford.
Exactly,
or something, straight off the pitch.
But I think he sees that you need Richarlison and Gylfi's goals. I think that's the major risk in taking him out. Because Iwobi, he scored 2 and 2 Iwobi, but he's not been a regular goal scorer for Arsenal. He's only 23, by the way. But he's going to score more goals in this Everton team than he did at Arsenal, but he's not yet a reliable goal scorer. So that's why you keep your 2 main men. And once Keane gets up and running, then you can maybe Richarlison can miss certain games, Gylfi can miss certain games. But I think I'm quite pleased because at the end of the day, it's a project, as they say, isn't it? And I think it takes time to work out your best team. We're not complete yet. We still need
we've seen it last season.
Yeah.
The team that started
the season
to the one that finished was very different. Just the numbers from those last 2 games that we'd shown there. Villa, we mentioned 65% of the ball, 12 attempts at goal to their 7,
3,000 crosses,
8 from open play. The crosses were 24 crosses compared to Watford the game before at 11. 572 passes from Everton, 81%.
They dropped off after they scored, didn't they? And it was just, we're trying to play around them, and it was...
But what I'm getting from the numbers, Wolves at home, 59%. Everton, 15 attempts to Wolves, 8 with 6 on target, 9 from open play.
We've been the ball dominant side.
We have.
And Marco Silva's sides predominantly before he came to Everton were not ball dominant sides. A lot of the time they like to be counter-attack and pressing triggers. One thing that I brought up last week and I'd like to bring up again is Delph. I think it certainly helps Gomez as well in terms of his defensive output. Fabian Delph, as soon as the ball was lost by anyone, pressing triggers like that.
Well, you said before, and we haven't got the graphic open, we probably should have, that Everton's pressing numbers are actually very good, aren't they?
Yeah, for the press, inside the top 5, without, with the ball went against the press again, top 6 in terms of that. So we are a good side. We do limit the number of passes teams make when they've got the ball. But by the time we can tackle an interception, so teams are not getting much joy out of us, which is a positive. The press is still something we are. Last season, same thing again. We were the second best league team in the league with the press last season. So that's a continuing trend into this season.
Interesting. They're just the numbers behind the opening 4 games. Obviously, when we do this weekly, it'll be more game specific, and we'll have more, probably some individual stats from players and stuff about the game and things like that. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you pleased with Everton's start? Do you like stats and tactics? Do you like that side of it? If you don't, tough, we're doing it all season.
It's just something different because you can do your match previews, your match reviews, and I like them things myself, but go and be behind the numbers and start looking at individual little battles that with the Everton won to win the game. It's good sort of difference, isn't it?
Gives you the whole
picture,
round of picture, doesn't it? As well as just doing the eye test, as you like to say.
Yes.
There you go. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Big thanks to Andy. See you later.